everybody, Coach Nick here, and I'm following on this series on skill development while we're all at home waiting for the box to open up. So I've been tasked with giving you guys some hints and tips on our pressing or pushing movements. That is our push-up, pike push-up, and then handstand push-up. So we're going to get straight into it. So we're going to get straight into it. Some of the things that we're going to talk about on each of these movements is one, the setup. So the setup of the movement. Number two being midline tension or core activation. Three, your end position, and then four, the drive. Right? So there's only 4 points on each of these movements that we're going to touch on to make sure that you guys are set up and ready. I know you're looking at the mustache and you're thinking, ooh, that's sketchy, but I think it adds a type of credibility to my coaching. Let's check it out. We're going to start off with the push-up, and we're going to run you through those 4 pointers. So we're going to start off with the push-up. The 4 pointers I'm going to run you guys through are, of course, the setup. So for our push-up, we want to make sure that our hands are set up just sort of outside the shoulders. So in line with the chest, just outside the shoulders. We want to try and, if we can, either keep our hands facing up or fingers facing up towards our head, or maybe slightly pointed out, and that way we can keep our elbows tucked into the side. And that's going to allow us to not only use the chest as we press, but also get a little bit of activation through the triceps, right? So set up, hands just outside the shoulders, in line with the chest, hands maybe turned out a little bit. Then we want to make sure that we got some good core activation, right? So we want to make sure that when we're in that top position, we're squeezing that core as tight as we can, maybe the glutes a little bit too, so that we got that good midline stabilization or that core activation going. The end position on the push-up is when our chest makes contact with the floor. We want to try and avoid having too much of the hips and thighs down on the ground. If we can, we want to just sort of head towards the floor with our chest. And then we want to drive out of that bottom nice and explosively, making use of the chest and triceps, right? So let's check things out as we get set up. Hands are going to be sort of in line with the chest, just outside the shoulders. I want to set up in this high plank position, making sure that my core is tight and squeezed over here, glutes too. My elbows are going to be tucked into the sides. I'm going to finish with my chest on the floor and then a nice big drive out from the bottom. The same can be done off of the knees if you guys need to scale. Keeping those elbows tight, still good core activation. Chest hits the floor and I'm driving out, right? So that is our push-up. We're going to check it out. How things change a little bit when we head over into the pike push-up. Let's go. Alrighty, things get a little bit more tricky when we head into movements like the pike push-up as those hips start to become elevated. And the same is going to be very applicable when we move on to our handstand push-up, right? So the hand position changes a little bit here. I like to imagine we're doing like a strict press or a push press. So where's your arm position or your hand position on the bar? That's going to be the same kind of position, just on the floor. So you want to try and keep those fingers pointed forward or to whichever direction the head is going to be at, and it's sort of just outside the shoulder width, right? So that's a nice strong pushing position. Pike push-up changes to a normal push-up in that our hips are going to be elevated up over the shoulders. So whether you are lucky enough to have a box, or maybe you're just using a chair or some steps at home, we need to get those hips up nice and high, right? So setup position, we spoke about the hands being about just outside the shoulders. Our end position with the handstand push-up or pike push-up is going to sort of be in a triangle or the tripod position. So the head is going to move ahead of the hands. It's going to be in front of our hands when we're pressing. So our head's going to finish in front of the fingertips on the floor, and then we're going to still have that nice explosive drive out. So I'm going to give you guys a quick demo of what it looks like. So we want to think about one, good hand position. Imagine you're doing some sort of press with the bar. That should be a good indicator of where your hand should be or the width. Number two, we want to make sure that we still got that good core activation, right? So we're keeping that core nice and tight. Number three, finishing position with our head in front of our hands, and then for that nice big drive, right? Let's have a quick look to set this thing up. Right, so whether you're sitting up with your booty up in the air as a skating option, my hands are just outside my shoulders, fingers pointing forward. I'm going to finish in that tripod position with my head in front of my hands and a nice big drive out. Alright, as I drive through, you'll notice my head drives through my arms. Boom. That's your pike push-up. We elevate that using like a step or a box or a chair. It might look something like this. You want to get your feet up on the object, hips up nice and high. Our head still makes contact with the floor, and we drive it through. Down and drive it through. Alright, so good core activation and a nice explosive drive. One more handstand push-up. Let's check it out. Right, and then the final of our 3 movements is our handstand push-up. And this is the most advanced or the RX version of all the presses, and it does help when you're a little bit lighter. But with the handstand push-ups, our setup is very much the same as when we're getting set up for our pike push-ups. I like to have a more narrow grip with my hands pointing sort of directly at the wall, my fingertips pointing directly at the wall. Some people like to go a little bit wider with their arms, turn their hands out. Something that I think you guys need to experiment a bit with. Different things work for different people. I find though when I'm going strict, that keeping my finger points pointing towards the wall keeps me nice and strong. So that's what I'm going to do for my setup. Find a nice setup position that is comfortable for you. Again, I like to always imagine that I'm pressing some sort of bar. That's the kind of grip width that I'm going to go for when I get set up for my handstand push-ups, right? Number 2, midline stability or core activation. So important to you when you set up for our handstand push-ups. We're going to be kicked up against the wall. We want to make sure you're putting that core in nice and tight, so you're not allowing that rib cage to pop and squeezing that booty, right? Finishing position on the ground, our head again is going to be ahead of the hands, right? And that's going to allow us to be in that tripod or that triangle position when we're on the floor. And then there's that nice strong drive. If you're doing these things strict, you're strong enough to do that, you're strong enough to press yourself out the bottom strict. It's going to be obviously very, very much shoulders, but then also a lot of tricep base. It's important to make sure that on the way down, we've got some good control. So as we hit the bottom, we can hit that drive nice and strong. With the kip, that's a completely different animal, and it does require a whole bunch of timing. I'm going to give you guys a demo of 2 strict handstand push-ups, and then we're going to head into the kipping push-up, where I'll just talk to you quickly about how I find my timing works best. So strict handstand push-ups, let's check it out. Kicked up against the wall, I'm going to make sure that my head is making contact with the floor ahead of my hands, so in front of my fingertips, and then I'm just driving out nice and strong to the floor and driving out nice and strong. The top, head and chest through the arms, right? When we're talking kip, we want to make sure that we're bringing those knees down in towards the chest, right? A lot of people in this bottom position prefer to have their booty up against the wall, gives them a little bit of balance. Right, and then as we're driving strong out of those legs, so imagine you're doing like a jump squat or a thruster. Only once the legs have done the work are we then going to try and extend with the arms, right? So we need to play around a little bit here. It is going to take a whole bunch of practice getting that timing right. Here's 2 kipping handstand push-ups for you guys. Same bottom position, head behind the hands or in front of those hands, knees to the chest. First extending the legs, and then finding that drive with the arms. Alright, I hope this has been okay, that you guys have got some good tips out of this. Keep yourself busy at home, stay safe, and let's try and stay motivated for the next 2 weeks. If you guys need any help, drop us a message on the WhatsApp group or slide into our DMs. We'll be happy to help you guys out.